Hey, welcome back, everybody. HSC Podcast 38. We got Big Box Steve on the mic, joining us, Fresh Wes. And you know what we don't have tonight? The Big Smooth. I think he's got COVID. No, Derek's just sick, not feeling well. So just going to be Fresh Wes and Big Box Steve on the mic. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you're listening to us on Anchor or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Appreciate you listening. Don't forget to keep listening. So before we jump into the NFL, Wes, I want to talk about NCAA football right now. So did you see the latest rankings? I think it's the first rankings, right, for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed the top 5. Number 1, Tennessee.
Right. So tell me about that. Number 1, Tennessee. Really? Is that how do you feel about that?
I still got to give it to Georgia right now.
Right.
We'll find out. We'll find out on Saturday because they play each other. They play. That's going to be an interesting game. But I don't see Tennessee being the best team in the country. They got a lot to prove still. They did beat Alabama, but Alabama played bad on defense. And I just think overall, top to bottom, Georgia's the best team. Defensively, running game. I mean, of course, Tennessee's passing game's more explosive, but that's just, that's a couple players. I mean, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
Well, so here's my question. So here's the problem I have. And again, we're talking college football.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's number 1 all year long, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the playoff rankings come out, and Tennessee goes to number 1.
Well, what happened was Georgia did have one bad game against Missouri. I mean, they almost lost to Missouri, and that's what kind of knocked them down a little bit. It was kind of shocking to see them do so poorly against Missouri, but that happens sometimes. They didn't lose; they did win.
Right. But Georgia, so Georgia's points against, is over 150 points.
Yeah,
against Tennessee, right?
Most of that's against Oregon.
So now you're talking about number 8 Oregon, who they dominated by like 40 points, right?
They beat them like 49 points, and Oregon's ranked. Yeah, so the strength of schedule plays into it.
Or even if you're saying strength of schedule comes into play here, they beat the number 8 team in the country by 40.
Yeah.
Tennessee beat Alabama, who Alabama's good, but it was a last minute win.
Yeah. Yep.
But you're going to tell me that the previous national champion, who's still undefeated, returning their quarterback and a lot of their players, now goes to number 3.
It's just I don't know. It's just the rankings this year have been so screwed up. I mean, there's just been so much inconsistency. Like teams dropping 15 spots after they lose, and all this, or moving up 10 spots. It's like, come on, they never used to do that stuff back in old school days,
But we're talking top 5. We're talking number 1 team in the country, right?
Yeah.
So I have a problem with Georgia not being number 1. I have a big problem with this, right? Because you're still undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
You won the national championship. You beat Oregon, the number 8 team in the league in the country, by 40 points.
Beat down.
And yet you drop from number 1 to number 3.
Yeah. So.
And against Tennessee, let's not talk about who they played. Let's just say points for, points against. Georgia has over 50 points for, and over 50 points less points against than Tennessee does.
Nah, that's crazy. That's pretty dumb. And Tennessee's totally unproven.
Right. That's the big point, right? They're totally unproven. What has Tennessee done in the last 10 years?
Tennessee hasn't been ranked. I think it was in the top 15 in the playoff poll since like 2014. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
they haven't
you're
done
talking about
anything.
8 years that they haven't been ranked in the top, 10, 15, right?
No.
And you're gonna move them against above Georgia?
Oh, I mean, we'll see what happens Saturday, but I'll put my money on Georgia.
Well, here's the thing. Regardless of what happens, because I think it's gonna be an awesome game, and I can't wait to watch it. Like this, I think this is the best college football game that we've seen in years.
No,
This Georgia Tennessee game is going to be one of the better college football games we've seen in a long time.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's gonna be a good game because I think the strength of Georgia is pretty much everything, but I think the quarterback play, I think everyone still questions Bennett to a certain extent.
Right. Even though they
And
won
I
a national
think,
championship last year. Like,
yeah,
can you
but
imagine winning a national
yeah,
championship and then being questioned? Like,
yeah.
hey, I get you won the national championship last year, but you're not so good.
But top to bottom, I think what Georgia is built such a strong program at every
Right.
Just like
Just
Alabama
like
did.
Alabama, every
And it's just a
position.
machine. It's plug
Right.
and play. You plug in, a different quarterback, and I think their passing game is not like Tennessee's, but that's like one player. And Tennessee, that guy cannot be stopped. I
Right,
mean, he
right, right.
burns everybody. I mean, he's just making Alabama players look bad, looking like 3-star players. Like it
But
was.
you could double team, like you could put them in a top
That's
over top zone, right? You
That's
could
what
put them
that's what
underneath.
Georgia's gonna play smarter. I
Right,
think
right,
they're gonna say we're not gonna let number 11 beat us.
right.
That's the one guy. Everybody else can beat us, but that guy's not gonna beat us.
They're gonna play him underneath and over the top, right? So that
Yeah,
they're gonna play one under, one over,
yeah,
and they're gonna play him under. They're gonna play a zone on him.
yeah.
So, but I don't even care about any of that. Like minus the game that's gonna happen this weekend, because that's really gonna determine who's the best team. The fact that they put Tennessee over Georgia before the game happened, like how disappointing is that? You won the national championship last year.
Yeah.
You're 8-0 right now.
Yeah.
You beat Georgia or Florida by more than Tennessee beat them. You beat Oregon by 40.
Yeah. It's
But
just
because you beat Alabama by like 3,
barely.
yeah, barely beat Alabama, you're number 1.
It's this a screwy committee. The committee is, I mean, and then you got Clemson number 4.
Right.
I mean,
Have
Michigan's played better than Clemson.
right.
That's ridiculous.
Well,
So that's
Michigan,
ridiculous.
Michigan, Ohio State, they have a game coming, right?
Oh,
At
that's
at
going to
the end of the
decide a
year.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's going to tell us a lot for those two teams. But I'm just personally very disappointed that Tennessee's number 1. That's my thing. Maybe I'm alone in that. I don't see how you take the returning national championship undefeated, and then now they're 3. I just don't get it.
Yeah, not 2, 3.
Right. Not 2. Not 2.
Yeah,
Right.
3.
3. And then you jump Tennessee up there. So that's the college football that's happening right now. So just one more college football thing before we move on. So Oregon, right? They lose to Georgia first game. Tough loss. Get dominated. But at the same time, you're losing probably the best team in the country, right? Oregon wins out, right? Possibly. Then they still have Utah, and then they play the Pac-12 championship against USC, who's now top 10. Let's say they win that game, and they still might not make the playoffs.
I mean, it's hard to believe that they said that. I think there hasn't been a 1-loss team, but it's some stat. I forgot what it was, but they did different scenarios. I mean, yeah, things. I mean, you're gonna have two SEC teams. There's two. Okay.
Right.
You're gonna have
Alabama.
Ohio State or Michigan,
Right.
and then the real trick, in which I think, and this might Oregon. I think if they win out, they look better than a team like Clemson.
I mean,
And
but do they though?
They kind of do. I mean, they're playing pretty well, but if you look at, let's just look at top to bottom. Let's look at everything that Clemson has and everything Oregon has. Clemson's probably a little bit better, but look at the way Oregon's playing. Look how they dominated UCLA. UCLA cannot stop them.
So the ACC has 5 top 25 teams, right?
Yeah. Wake Forest.
12 has 5 top 25 teams. So now you're talking about conference strength. Well, they're kind of same, right?
Yeah. Clemson, I think Clemson, since they haven't lost, they're going to have to slip up. They have to lose one.
That's the point, is that Clemson goes undefeated. They still beat out Oregon for that playoff position, right?
Yeah.
What about TCU? TCU goes undefeated.
Yeah, TCU. I like TCU. I like Dugan. I like Max Dugan.
Oh, yes, great.
He's a backup. That's your backup.
But they don't play. They don't play a conference championship, though.
I know. Well, that's unfortunate.
So does TCU go undefeated and not go to the playoffs?
Yeah, probably.
How do you go undefeated and then not be a top 14?
I think they just look at the Big 12 this year that Oklahoma's not as good. Texas looked like they're going to be good, then they fell apart. And then so you're just looking at competition. And Kansas State's good.
Texas still 24 right now, right?
Yeah, but
and then they beat Oklahoma State at number 9.
And Oklahoma State got bounced by Kansas State. Like, Jesus. Like,
Oklahoma State's fall apart, right? But still, I mean, when TCU played them, they were number 9.
Right. None of this helps TCU's cause. The team's falling apart like that. I mean, it's not going to help them, and that's good. And the committee's going to look at that. Committees does dumb stuff. They're going to say, look at all these teams.
So here's the question: Does a 12-1 or a 10 or 11-1 Oregon team beat out an 11-0 TCU team for the playoff?
I think so. If they beat USC, and if they beat you, they're going to have their hands full with Utah. Well,
so they have to beat Utah. They have to go to the Pac-12 championship, and then who are they going to play? They're going to play USC.
Yeah.
Who is the top 10 team right now?
Right.
And then USC. If they win, right? So they win, and now they're 11-1, and then you have an 11-0 TCU team. Yeah. You're sending a one-loss team over an undefeated team to the playoffs.
That could very well happen.
That's the scenario, right?
I mean, look what happened. This is a long time ago, but I think I've used this example before of when Colorado had like 2 losses and Notre Dame had a loss, and they played basically for the national championship, and Georgia Tech was undefeated, and they had 1 tie, and they got left out. I mean, it's because Georgia Tech played in the ACC when it wasn't very good, and so they just didn't get their. That's what's going to happen to TCU. TCU, it's just been a bad year for the Big 12,
right?
And so it's just going to look. If Oregon does that, if Oregon can pull that off, Utah is going to be. I think that's going to be a really good.
I mean, game. Utah's at 14 right now, right? So they're a good team.
But the way they run that option in Utah, that quarterback is hard to stop. I mean,
I think that's rough for TCU to go undefeated and not make the playoffs.
It's happened. I mean, it's yeah, it is. It because I think TCU is really good. I mean, I think
they beat Oklahoma State. I thought Oklahoma State would be a playoff team, to be honest with you.
They were. I mean, look, they won. They beat Notre Dame last year in the bowl game, and in the New Year's Six game. And so that was a big win for the program. I think they've been kind of scratching the surface. They're trying to get over that hump. They think they're a playoff team like every year, and they just come up short. And not only did they didn't come up short last week, they just got beat. Yeah, that was just the most surprising score of
So
the weekend.
so because TCU is Big 12, does that keep them out of the playoffs? Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think ultimately that's what's just because if Oklahoma was really good and they beat Oklahoma, I would say it would be different. I think they would have the advantage. They would have to have the advantage. Let's say
Right.
Oklahoma was a top 10 team and TCU beat them.
But they're not. Oklahoma's
They're
trash.
not. Yeah, they're not very good. Like overall, not as good. They're all right, but they're not. They're
No.
not what Oklahoma's been. So it just hurts them. It's just one of those years where the cards are going to be dealt, and it's not going to be the winning hand for a team like TCU.
I mean, this is going to be a fun finish to college
yeah.
football. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've seen this good of a college football finish in a long time. Like what? 2001? Remember, I think what was that, the LSU Michigan?
And 2001 was like that's when Oklahoma. What were we talking about seasons? We're talking about 2002. So was that LSU? Is LSU Oklahoma?
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That so when there was you really couldn't decide who was the national champion.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's what we're coming down to this year. I think you're coming down to you can't figure out what's the best team that's going to be playing in the playoff. That's what I hate about this 14 playoff, right?
Yeah.
We need an 18 playoff.
Well, you're gonna probably have it, and they're probably gonna do it in 2024 now.
Right.
Now they want to move it up, and it's not gonna be. It's gonna be 12 team. So you're gonna have 12 team playoff.
I'm
You're gonna
fine
have
with
six,
that. I'm fine with that.
you're gonna have six. You're gonna have six conference champions and six at larges.
Right.
That's the way it's gonna be.
Because this 4 team, you're leaving out so many good teams.
Yeah. It's time. It was okay for like 2 years, and now there's just too much controversy, and you know you always get freaking Notre Dame in there, and they just get blasted every time. Don't even score a touchdown, but they're Notre Dame. We all got sing the fight song and rah rah rah, and they get killed. It's like it's unbearable to watch. But so you have 8 teams now, and at least Notre Dame loses in the first round, and then we got some good games the rest of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they go to this, and it sounds like they're going to. So that Tennessee Georgia thing really bothered me. Want to hear about that? Let's talk about last week in the NFL. So we got 9-5, 9-5 from you and Derek, 10-4. Pretty good records, to be honest with you. Like we did pretty well. What are some games that surprised you?
Well, seems like every week there's more than one game that surprises me.
I mean, it's a crazy.
Right off the bat, the most painful part is the Raiders not even scoring a point. That's kind of what surprised me the most.
Not because you're a Raiders fan, right?
Just I'm not even a Raiders fan, dude.
You are a Raiders fan.
Dude. Dude, oh man, wow.
Dude, I mean, you're a Raiders
fan. Like the crazy uncle. He's my uncle. That's the Raiders. Like, he's still my uncle. That's what it is.
You got beat like a redheaded stepchild.
By a red step.
by the Red Rocket.
Red Rocket.
Look, I gotta admit that I think the Raiders New Orleans game was probably the most surprising game of all week, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Even if you picked the Raiders to win, which we did,
yeah,
you weren't talking about New Orleans coming out and blanking them and scoring 24 points, 24-0, right?
Yeah, that was that. And you know what it was? It was Derek Carr played the worst I've ever seen. I swear he threw a pass and he kept throwing the 2-yard passes. I'm like, dude, I couldn't even see the receiver. I couldn't even see the running back because he was inside the offensive line and he throws it to him. I'm like, why are you throwing it that dude? And then he actually threw a pass and it hit the offensive lineman in the butt. I swear, it was worse than the butt fumble almost. It's like, what are you doing, dude? It was just like that the whole game. And then the worst part is, you're on the sideline and Josh McDaniels like, all right, let's draw something up. Let's talk. A couple minutes later, you see Derek Carr. Is he looking at his, at his plays? No, he's out there pouty. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You get paid all this money to perform. You got to perform, dude. That's all there's to it.
That has to be in the top 5 of disappointing games this year, right?
He was 15 for 26, 101 yards. How do you only, what is that, 6 yards a completion?
Right. So
and 1 interception, and I've never seen a quarterback throw it into quadruple coverage. I've seen triple coverage. I've never seen quadruple coverage.
I mean, that's rough. And to be a Raiders fan like you are,
come on, dude.
No,
I'm gonna get mad, dude.
I mean, no, I just gotta you have to understand, everybody listening. So not just me and Wes talking, but all you people listening. That's rough, right? That's got to be the roughest game of
There's some Raiders fans probably listening.
But let's talk about the Indianapolis-Washington game for a second.
Oh, geez.
So you're Indianapolis and you're up by 10 or 9. I'm sorry, 9 going into the last couple minutes of the game. And then you give a field goal and a touchdown to Washington and you lose. And I think both of you and Derek both had Washington to win, right?
No. Today?
Because I had Indy. And I was thinking, this is a guaranteed win for me.
Oh, duh. That's right.
Especially coming at the end of the game up by 9. So to me, this is one of the most disappointing games because Indianapolis, look, all you had to do was just run out the clock. And this is why I don't understand what's happening with coaches these days.
Right. And this is why I think we're having such a hard time predicting what's going to happen, because I look at things in a sense, and it's my own fault. I look at the way things should be done.
Right.
But that's not how they do it. They do it the wrong way. And so we're trying to guess, oh, this is going to happen. And coaching is subpar this year. A majority of teams and situations, there's just some bad coaching. That's all there's to it. And I'm not going to, quarterbacks are playing bad in cases like Matt Ryan. That's just, he just makes bad interceptions. Like, you just don't throw that stuff. But
Ryan
a lot of it's situational. A lot of it's situational.
Right.
These coaches do not know how to coach these quarterbacks. They don't understand where a quarterback's comfortable with his progressions. Does he go right to left or left to right? And when you're coming across, I saw somebody, what was it game it was? The Bengals game. It's like they showed one part of the whole field. There's nobody doing a crossing route. And Burrow's back there, and he gets killed again. It's like he has no outs. He has nothing. He's going to get killed.
Right.
And that's all coaching.
So coaching's an issue. And I know Derek's not here because he'd argue this, but analytics is a it. I don't get it. Analytics does not have anything to coach. Coaching has to do with what's going on in the game. How can you play the game? And then you're going to let analytics decide what you're going to do.
Well,
That's not coaching.
You're.
You might as well just put a computer out there.
Well, I talked to a statistics teacher about this a couple days ago, and I asked him about it. And I said, "This is all about probability, right?" He's like, "Yeah, but it's different than baseball." I go, "Yeah, well, the difference is you can determine something because you have guys running in the same direction. You know where they're running. They run from first to second all the way around, right? There's so many variables in NFL. It's hard to predict stuff using analytics to that extent. But they don't care.
That's what they're relying on. And so that was a killer, in that Indy Washington game.
Yeah.
And then I just, the Seattle and the Giants game, this was a big one. Like, what the fuck? Excuse me. What's happening with Seattle right now? Like, how is Seattle 5-3 and winning games against good teams?
It's called top to bottom, knowing how to run a franchise. They got players.
Is that Pete Carroll?
That is the GM. That is Pete Carroll. That's everybody. They got players that they drafted well. Walker the third. That dude runs hard.
Oh, he's a beast.
He is a beast, and he runs hard. And I mean, and honestly, Geno Smith, and I've always liked him, his talent, and you're starting to see it now. You're starting to see him not make the mistakes, but they got everything tailored for him to make him comfortable. He's not throwing for 400 yards here, but when you got DK Metcalf running around the back of the end zone, what are you going to do? You're going to throw it up to him.
Tyler Lockett, like, you got two of the best receivers, right, in the NFC.
There's solid,
right, and but it's still crazy because they're top to bottom. If you're talking about Pro Bowl players, they don't have a lot of them.
No, but they've always done a decent job of getting new guys. Okay, and then with his system, with the way Pete Carroll does things, he's got guys around him, coaching staff that knows how to coach him up and do what's necessary to win games, and that's what they do. And so that's what they're doing this year. I don't know how far that's going to take them because I think NFC is kind of forming a little bit more.
Well, because they got to play San Francisco.
They got to play San Francisco.
San Francisco is Turner.
They're showing that, you know what, we got a new toy, and we are going to use it in ways that you don't know what's coming. So
I mean, I would. I'm the first to admit that I'm wrong, and I've been wrong about the Seahawks.
Yeah, I just didn't put much stock in the Seahawks just because.
But they're killing.
Honestly,
it.
They're
killing it.
You know what it was? I was watching preseason. I'm watching Drew Lock.
Right, Drew Lock.
And I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. Drew Lock. I mean, this is not going to go well for them. And it was like, it's like they kind of toyed around with the idea, but I think Carroll knew all along. He's like, dude, I'm going Geno Smith.
Yeah,
it's just.
But I'm just saying, I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong that I thought the Seahawks would be at this point like 2-6.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I didn't even think about it. I wasn't thinking about them all. Right. It's like you just think, you know what, they're gonna finish like 6-11 or something like that.
Bad.
It's just
right.
Yeah, 6-11. It's just
All right, so let's talk about week 9. Let me get so Big Smooth obviously not with us, but he sent his picks over. So let's talk about week 9 predictions. We got Philly at Houston. Derek takes the Eagles. I got the Eagles. I mean, at Houston, doesn't matter. Houston's trash. Philly's right now looking like the best team in the league. So I'm going to take Philly by 10.
Yeah. Eagles are 14-point favorite. Eagles are third in total defense, and Texans are 30th in total defense. So I think Philly covers, because honestly, Texas offensively, they're not going to be able to keep up. They should win. I say they win by 17.
Yeah,
No brainer.
That's a big win. So we got lost our Chargers at Atlanta. I don't see his pick on that. I think he skipped that one. So I got the Chargers. I think the Chargers win this game. Not in a blowout. I think Chargers win by 7. I think Atlanta's got good offense, but it's at Atlanta. They play well, but Chargers end up winning by a touchdown.
This was tough for me because the Chargers, I think they're struggling at times, and
Up and down. Yeah.
they're up and down. Herbert, I think he's still hurt to a certain extent, but he's also not comfortable because of coaching. Again, schematics, setting up things that makes him, because Herbert is, he throws a 35-yard pass like I've never seen anybody throw 30. Throws it like a laser beam. Like it's like a laser beam, and 30. I'm not talking about Elway and throwing 65 yards. I'm just saying 35 yards. And so the coaching staff needs to set up everything to utilize that talent that he has, and they don't. And it's like he looks a little confused out there. And that's, to me, that's coach. And so I think Atlanta, man, they're playing some good football. And Mariota, you see him running last week? God, he's fast. And I think the Falcons pull it out 20-16. Excuse me, not 20, that's wrong. 27-24.
So Derek does have the Falcons on here. So Derek's taking the Falcons with you. So that's a swing game. This is a swing game.
That's a tough one. That's gonna be an interesting game.
So I got the Chargers. You both got the Falcons.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see what happens there. So Miami at Chicago. What do you got?
I mean, honestly, I think this is an interesting game. I got to take the Dolphins, though, just because Tua seems to be, that the Detroit game was a little dicey. And I was like, oh, man, they might lose this. And then all of a sudden, I looked at the score. I was like, oh, they're coming back. And Tyreek Hill's like throwing the ball deep to Tyreek. Waddle is he's so hard to cover. And Waddle, I love Waddle.
Waddle's great across the middle.
And then he does a waddle in the end zone. That was awesome. Right. Like, he scores a touchdown. Dude, I am starting to become a Dolphins fan again. Like, that was my first team that when I was a kid, Dolphins. I'm like, man, I like their team. They got Chubb now. I think the Bears are going to play good. Justin Fields, I mean, they put up some points against Dallas. I just don't think they have still the weapons. He just does not. If he had some, well, they got Claypool, but
yeah, no.
I'm not quite. There's a reason why he's not on the Steelers anymore. It's not just because the Steelers are bad, because he's just not producing the way he's supposed to be producing. So, but I think that could help. I think Fields just needs someone to throw the ball up to sometimes, because he's running around for his life so much. He doesn't have anybody that big to throw the ball up to.
Well, they need the offensive line to continue to develop, which won't happen for a year or two.
Yeah.
So even with Claypool, it's going to be a challenge.
And the Bears, they keep just getting rid of their best defensive players. Hey, we don't need you, Roquan Smith.
Or Robert Quinn, or Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
The only 2 top 75 players you got, let's just get rid of them.
Let's get rid of him.
Come on, man.
He said, Rokon Smith says, I was really surprised they got rid of me. I was like, I was too.
I would be too.
I'd be kind of pissed. I'm like, what?
You're a top 5 linebacker in the league.
I'm not good enough to play for the Bears. You kidding me?
Dude. So you're taking the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Derek's taking the Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins.
Oh.
I mean, I just don't think the Bears have enough defense now. Like, you just got rid of all your defense. You're talking about the 2 best receivers in the league. I just can't see the Bears stopping them. I don't think the Dolphins stop the Bears. I think the Bears score probably 23, 24 points.
You don't think they'll avenge the 85 Dolphins game where they lost? The only team they lost to was the Dolphins on Monday night. They're not going to avenge that, Steve. No. Come on, man.
Not with the
revenge.
The trash defense they got. I think the Dolphins just outscore them. That's just where.
Maybe the Cowboys are just that good offensively. They could put up 49 points like that.
That was the worst defensive game the Bears have played in 10 years. So I'm taking the Dolphins. I think the Bears have cashed it in. I think when your management cashes in, you cash in, right?
Yeah.
When they say we're trading our best 2 defensive players, you're telling your team that you've cashed in for the season.
Yeah.
And your players are going to do the same thing, right? So that's where the Bears are at. It's all about next year.
Yeah.
I mean, Bears could have been, fucking 5-2, 6-3. They had chances to win every game they've been in this year.
Yeah.
But at this point, when you start trading your best players, you're telling your team that the season's over. And that's what it is. Season's over. So Carolina at Cincinnati. I'm gonna still go with Cincinnati, even with Jamar Chase hurt. Carolina's not that good to me. I mean, I think they beat a very bad Tampa team. Not a very bad Tampa team, a Tampa team who's in they're just struggling with where their identity right now. So I'm gonna go with Tampa or Cincinnati by 10.
Oh. PJ Walker, that pro, I was impressed. I mean, I swear he threw, that was 65 yards all air under pressure, that Hail Mary, and takes off his helmet. I'm just like, oh my God, dude, did you actually do that? That was a great play, though. I think Carolina, it'll keep it close. I'm still going to take Burrow. I think, it's freaking Burrow. That's Halloween. I'm like, who am I going to be for Halloween? I don't dress for Halloween. I was like, but I had to go to a Halloween thing. I'm like, well, I got to do something. I was like, dude, I'll just put on the coat. I'll be Joe Burrow. They're playing on TV, right? And what does he do? He gets beat by 20 by the Browns. I'm like, really?
The worst game you ever seen.
Yeah. And so I was like, but I think Carolina is really still not that good. I think they should handle them, let's say 28 to 19.
Derek's got the Bengals too. So I think we're all in agreement there. Green Bay at Detroit. I think this was a tough decision for me because Green Bay, they're just not Green Bay right now. And Detroit's offense is good, but their defense is just terrible.
Yeah.
So it's like, can Detroit outscore Green Bay? I don't think so. So I'm going Green Bay. By just about a touchdown, though. It's going to be back and forth. I think the last team that has the ball wins, which will be Green Bay.
Yeah. The thing about it is Green Bay struggling offensively. So what's a better team to play to get back on track to a certain
To the
extent,
Lions.
or start that process? Let's play the Lions and put up like 31, and you get you're getting a little comfortable with a number one receiver. So I think Rodgers is going to exploit that and try to get that going. I think they put up 31. I think the Lions put up 26. I think it's going to be close. The Lions are only one win. I mean, are they going for the number one pick right here? I mean,
so here's a swing game because Derek has the Lions. He's been on the Lions a lot this year and not done well because they've only won one game. The Colts at the Patriots.
Ugh.
What do you got here?
That's probably one of the more not so exciting games of the week.
Right.
What I got is I got some info on Mac Jones. 3 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I mean, return of the Mac, man. Like, here he comes. Return of the Mac.
Return of the Mac.
Yeah, I mean, here's Zappy, then here comes Mac, back. Three touchdowns.
Come on.
The whole year he's got 3 touchdowns.
Why is Zappy not playing? Like, is this a pride thing from Belichick? Come on, dude. Why is Zappy not playing?
I think if you put them next to each other, you say Mac has more potential, more talent to a certain.
He doesn't.
I think it's a little borderline. I think Zappy's talented, but sometimes you look at Zappy, you're like, okay, I can see a little bit why they want Mac Jones, and so you want to figure out. They want to figure out if Mac Jones can play, because if he can't play, they're going to get a quarterback, draft quarterback next year, or they're going to get somebody.
Zappy's got crazy confidence.
He does.
Crazy confidence.
It's hard. I think it's hard for them not. I think Belichick's not in it. He's like, I really want to play him, but is Zappy going to be the future for us? Or is this just like a 1-year thing? Like he's good for a year, and then next year he's just Zappy.
Dude wants to play in the NFL. He wants to be the starting quarterback.
I know.
He wants it more than Mac Jones wants it.
Oh yeah, I want Zappy. I laughed when he started playing. I go, this guy's going to take Mac's job. Right. Because I don't think Mac's that good. He can be good, but I think it's not fair to Mac because he is replacing a legend, best quarterback of all time. And that's just not fair. I mean, that's just an impossible task for a young quarterback to do. I think in a different situation, I think he's a better quarterback, but this is just a bad hand for him. 3 touchdowns, though. How many games? There's been 7 games played. There's 3 touchdowns.
So who wins this game? Indianapolis or New England?
I think the Patriots end up winning this game. I think it's going to be ugly. Hey, Zappy might even come in the game. Remember, we can't predict what we think would be the logical thing to do.
Right.
These coaches, they don't think. I don't know what some of them think sometimes, but Zappy might play. Zappy comes in. Maybe he has to come in and pull out a win. But I think it's going to be close. I think 20-15.
Yeah, I agree. At New England, I'm going to give it Patriots by a field goal for a lot of same reasons. Derek's got the Pats too. So we all agree Pats win this game. Buffalo at New York. I think even at New York, I don't care. I'm taking Buffalo by 2 touchdowns. I think Buffalo is on a roll and they're moving forward. Jets still find an identity. So I'm taking Buffalo by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, the options that Josh Allen has. I mean, if it's not Diggs, it's Jones. If it's not Jones, now it's McKenzie. Did you see McKenzie last week? Right. I mean, that dude, he's quick and he's shifty, and it's like, man, they got weapons. It's just like, yeah, I think actually they roll the Jets because I think they kind of left a lot on the field against the Packers. They were about ready to roll the Packers, and they just didn't play well in the second half. I think the
I think
Jets.
they just didn't care. To be honest with you, I thought they were just
Well,
like whatever. This team sucks.
yeah, our defense. It doesn't matter. Our defense is plug and play. They
Right.
are solid, and there's no. I mean, they're just a solid team, and they're well coached, and their design on both sides of the ball is excellent. Every team should just. All these teams that are terrible at designing their defenses and offenses should watch what they do. They're great.
I can't wait to see them beat Kansas City in the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. So Derek's got the Bills as well. So that's a consensus. Minnesota at Washington. What do you got here?
I got Washington here. I think Washington's going to surprise Minnesota. And Minnesota's on a 6-game winning streak, longest winning streak since 1977. Like this, they're. I think there's a little. They're fortunate. I think Kirk Cousins is going to play subpar like he does sometimes, and Washington scores points, even though they didn't last week. But I think they'll do enough to beat. They're playing at home. I'd say they win 23-20.
Yeah, I think Minnesota is just better than Washington. Their offense is really good. I don't even know if Hawkinson plays, but the fact that they're adding Hawkinson to their team lets you know that they really are ready to move forward. So I think Minnesota's ready to go to the playoffs and try to win a championship. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think that's their mindset. And the addition of Hawkinson, I think, even if it doesn't help this week, changes the mindset of guys like Thielen and Cousins and, of course, fucking Justin Jefferson, right? So Washington, I just don't think can score the amount of points that Minnesota can. So I'm going to take Minnesota by 10. And let's see what I think Derek's got Minnesota. Yeah, he's got the Vikings too. So this is a swing game, Wes. The swing game. And if you
did I just take the Commanders? Haven't I done this before? I think I'm 0-2 when I take.
You just took the Commanders.
What did I just do? Why didn't you stop me, dude?
So this is a tough one. Vegas at Jacksonville. Let's take a break for 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, so I had to take a break for this one because I'm gonna pick Jacksonville. And I know this is gonna hurt, but it's at Jacksonville, and as much as I would love to believe that the Raiders are gonna make a move for the playoffs, it's just a long road back. And man, I just think they're gonna lose. So I hate to tell you this, Wes.
I don't care anymore.
So this is a rough one. So what do you got?
I got CJ Stroud as our number 1 pick. Number 1. Let's go for CJ. I'm gonna do shirts. Vote for CJ. Vote for CJ, dude. You know,
Oh man,
I
that's
no
rough.
trust ETN. You know, of course, he's on my fantasy team, and
I mean, he's
all my
killing
guys
it.
always produce, don't they? When they play, you know,
He's
when they're not on the
killing
bench.
it. He's killing it.
He's fifth in the league in rushing. He's got the most 40-yard rushes in the NFL. But I think that it's going to be the Crosby show. I think Max is gonna have a game. I think he's gonna terrorize Lawrence. I think he just wants to pull Fabio's hair and pull him to the ground. He's gonna sack him 3 times, and that's gonna be the difference in the game because he's gonna have probably more sacks than Derek Carr has touchdowns. But we still got Josh Jacobs. He's fourth in the league in rushing. He's
Doesn't help
playing
if you
good.
don't use him.
I know. Well, he had 10 carries, but for like 35 yards last week.
A whole 10 carries.
I know. Well, we're down 24 to what are we supposed to do? All of a sudden, we're down 24 to nothing. And, you know, our quarterback's
You should
he's
do a
throwing
fake
the
punt.
ball 2 yards.
You should do a fake punt. That's what you should do.
Oh, God, don't even. I forgot about the fake punt until you mentioned. Oh, my
You should
God.
do a fake punt.
Yeah, your dad. Wasn't that 7-0?
Yeah, that's super
What
close.
are you doing?
And it's like what, a yard or two, and you're gonna fake punt instead of just run Josh Jacobs? Come on, dude.
Yeah. I'm taking the Raiders 22-17.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay.
Get it on Max.
Derek's taking the Raiders too, so this is a swing game, right? It's a swing game for you guys to try to come back and get a little closer. Wow. Okay. That was a tough one for me, but let's talk about Seattle at Arizona because I think this is the hardest game for me to pick of all the games this week. So, what do you got? Seattle at Arizona.
It is a tough game. I'm taking Arizona just only because they're playing at home. And I think Seattle playing good. I think they're going to have to score a little bit more against, Murray to Hopkins. It's just, I think that catch he made last week, the one-handed, that was just sick. Just, I mean, I love him. He's such a good receiver.
He's top 5 all time, right?
And honestly, I think he's kind of underrated. I think he doesn't quite get the credit. And I think that's going to be the difference. I think Seattle's going to have to outscore Arizona in that. And I don't think it's their week. So I'm taking the Cardinals 30-21.
So Derek's got the Cardinals as well. And, here's the issue. I really would like to pick the Cardinals, but you know football, sports, and there's an inherent thing that happens when you're winning games, when you're playing better than you should be playing. And there's a momentum factor that's happening right now, and it's happening with Seattle. Seattle's playing better than they should be playing, and it's going to carry over into this game. And Seattle's going to win this game because they're playing better than they should play, and they got momentum. And Geno Smith is somehow looking 10 times better than he should be, and their defense is playing better than they have all year. So I'm gonna take Seattle in a swing game because both of you got the Cards. And so here's a swing game again where I gotta take Seattle. I mean, I hate to say that Seattle is actually better than Arizona because at the beginning of the year, you couldn't have convinced me of that. But right now, I think Seattle wins this game. So that's a swing game. The Rams at Tampa, which I also think is a really tough game. I don't, man. I don't think at the beginning of the year I would have took many teams against Tampa at home, but I'm gonna take the Rams in a close game. I think a 3-point game. I'm gonna take the Rams over Tampa here in Tampa. What do you got?
Yeah, it was kind of tough here because Matthew Stafford has like 7 touchdowns. I mean, that's it. He's
Both
just not.
quarterbacks are like you got two of the best quarterbacks in the league. They're just playing like trash.
Yeah, and I still don't think he's right. I think the elbow has bothered him. I mean, he's a quarterback. You hurt your elbow. It's kind of an important part of your throwing motion here, and I think it's part of it. I think there's miles on him too. I think he's gotten to the point where he's not going to age as gracefully as Brady. So
Uh-huh.
he's 35. It's like he doesn't have too many good years left. So, but I kind of agree with you. I think I think Tampa's just completely dysfunctional. I think Brady's checked out to a certain extent. I think he knows it's over, and I think the Rams are going to do enough playing. You know, it's not going to be a pretty game. I don't think. I think 24 to 22 Rams.
Rams. Yeah. And Derek got the Rams, so that's a cross the board equal game. But I also believe that it could go either way. Just
Yeah, it could. It's both
the
both quarterbacks are not playing well.
I think this
No.
is the second hardest game of the week to pick. Tennessee at Kansas City. Jeez, super tough game. What's Derek got? Derek has Tennessee, Kansas City, Titans. So Derek's got the Titans in this game. And geez, I really want to pick the Titans because Derek Henry is just in beast mode right now. Like Derek Henry and against Kansas City, that's going to be tough to stop. But I also believe that Tennessee's defense can't really stop Kansas City. So yeah, you can run the ball all you want, but if you can't play defense, it's hard to win games. So even though Derek's taking the Titans, I think I'm taking Kansas City here, especially at home. Like Kansas City loves playing at home. So I'm going Kansas City by a touchdown.
The matchup predictor is kind of shocking. It's like they're 88% Kansas City
Yeah.
to the Titans 11%.
I mean,
I
Titans are
mean,
playing well.
they are playing well. I think just because Kansas City's playing at home, I think that gives them I think it's gonna be a close game. Um, I think remember I was saying that they should run read option with Malik Willis, and they ran that 40-yard touchdown with the read option. I was like,
Right.
man, that could be hard to stop. And so I think they're going to keep it close, but I just think in the end, I'd say 31-27 Kansas City. But I will say that the Titans do have a really good punter. Brian Stonehouse leads the league in 54-yard average, almost as good as your average, Steve.
Right. I was only 47, so he's
Whatever.
Like
it changes, man.
He's got me like 7 yards, but he's a pro football, so that's a little bit different.
I just had to give a shout out to the punters because you guys are appreciated.
Well, and it might be a game of field position. I mean, because
it could be.
The thing about Tennessee's defense is it's not great, right? But they're a very bend but don't break defense. They get enough pressure on the quarterback, but that's the problem. Is like you can't really pressure Mahomes unless you're putting like serious pressure on him. I think the only way you stop Mahomes is to like all out blitz him.
That's a thought. You can't let him sit back there.
No, if he sits back there, he's gonna pick you apart, dude. That's what Mahomes does. He moves out of the pocket. He makes all the throws.
It's not just that; it's Andy Reid sets everything up for him. It's just it's a perfect match.
I just don't think Tennessee plays well enough on defense to beat him. I think they score points. I think Kansas City defense cannot stop Derrick Henry. He's going to run all over him. But I just don't think they can outscore him. Not with the running game. So we'll see how that happens because that's a swing game now too. Because wait, you got Kansas City or Tennessee?
I got Kansas City.
Okay, so that's a swing game for Derek. So if Derek wins that, he's got the Titans. And then Monday Night Football, Baltimore and New Orleans. Here's what's interesting: is like you think this would be an easy game to pick, but apparently New Orleans at home is playing really good because they beat Seattle and then they just crushed the Raiders. So what do you got? Like, what you got? Baltimore or New Orleans here at New Orleans?
I'm still gonna take the Ravens, even though New Orleans is playing good. And the Red Rocket is playing solid, but when they put in the Taysom Hill package,
it's tough to stop, dude.
He is a pain to stop. And I think Baltimore's defense lacks confidence to be nice, especially in the passing game. But I still think Lamar Jackson, even though every time he drops straight back, I'm like, what are you guys doing to this person?
Right. Just get him out of the pocket. Like let him get loose.
I'm gonna keep saying it. You could do the half roll like they did with Fran Tarkenton.
Right.
Just do the half. He's much more comfortable moving, even if he's moving like this. It's better than him dropping straight back, and he's a target, and he sometimes doesn't really know what to do. And so, at the same point, I think the Saints still are vulnerable. They don't really get in front of very many passes and pick them off, except Derek Carr. And actually, that wasn't them. That was Derek. Like, there's 4 guys, dude. Here, play catch the other team, man.
That's rough, dude.
So love you, Derek. I'm rooting for you, man. I'll be a rack on you, man. I got your jersey. I'll wear it this week. I'll wear it. But so I get to take the Ravens just kind of by default. Like they kind of have they kind of have to win this game because them and Cincinnati are going. They're going to go at each other, and someone's got to win. Someone's going to get left out of the playoffs, I think, if this continues. So whoever does not win the division might not make the playoffs. The way these two teams are,
Well, you got to think about, Jamar Chase. I mean, that just kills the Bengals.
It does.
I think so. Here's what I think about this game. I think New Orleans at home plays really well. And whether or not Roquan plays for the Baltimore or not, this game, what Baltimore needed on defense was a tackler, and you just got a top 5 tackler in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And they're going to need someone to tackle Taysom.
Right. And Kamara, right? So you need someone who's fast, which Roquan is like the second, third fastest middle linebacker in the league. Who can chase down Kamara, who can chase down Hill. And even if he doesn't play in this game, I think it gives Baltimore a lot of confidence in what they're doing. Yeah. And I think as good as I think New Orleans has been playing, I'm going to take Baltimore here by a touchdown. And I think Derek has Baltimore too. So I think we're all in agreement on this one. Yeah, he's got Baltimore. But I like the way New Orleans is playing, and I almost like them better with Dalton than Winston, just to be honest. So they could win this game. Even though I'm picking Baltimore, I will say that New Orleans at home, that's nasty. Like, look out. But I'm going to take Baltimore. So we got a lot of games that could change up the standings here. So you guys both go 9-5 last week. I go 10-4. So Big Box wins the week again. Mad at you guys winning last week. And so overall, so Wes, you came out of the under 500, which was great. Going into let's talk about fantasy for a minute before we jump off. So Derek and I lead the league at 6-2 in the HSC podcast. With all the injuries happening right now, it's really tough to figure out like who you're going to play. And then at the end of the year, you go into like them sitting people in the playoffs. So thinking about fantasy players right now, like, who are people we should be picking up, like who you should be playing and not playing. And you got any recommendations for the people out there, Wes?
No, not really. I mean, it's honestly, my fantasy team lacks confidence, I think.
Hey, you're playing Derek this week.
I'm 2-5. And when you go somewhere and they do fantasy drafts and they have the boards and these guys sit there for like 4 hours, and these guys, I swear, they do not look away from the board. I mean, there is some bad looking girls walking by. They don't even care. They're looking at that board. So I feel a little weird talking about what I know. Those guys are serious. I like Etienne, of course, because he's playing really well. He's healthy, and of course he's playing my team. And
he's been a flex play. Like I think at the beginning of the year, like not people were a lot of sure if they should play him, but I think lately, and the way he moves forward, I think Etienne he's easily a running back 1, running back 2.
Oh yeah, totally. I think Leonard Fournette's not bad because lack of options at the running back position. I like Kittle at this point. I think he's going to get the ball more. I think they're going to load up. Their teams are going to look at Christian McCaffrey and they'll be like, you know what?
We got to stop.
We got to do everything to stop that guy.
Right.
And so I think it's going to open up for Kittle a lot more.
That's an interesting play. That's an interesting thought process because I think most people are playing Kittle anyway. But I think how do you stop McCaffrey is an interesting question.
Yeah.
What about Devontae Adams? How do you feel about him? Because I know, he's obviously a wide receiver number 1. He's been since the beginning, but he's really struggling.
Yeah, it's a lot of it. I mean, bad quarterback play and as far as I'm concerned, bad coaching. I mean, come on. They just, if you don't know what to do, just watch tapes of what Aaron Rodgers would do.
What? Throw the ball to Devontae Adams?
Throw the ball. I mean, if you want to talk about why don't you just ask the guy, what makes you feel comfortable? What do you like to run here? And we'll run it instead of us, doing things that you're not comfortable doing. did he? It's like I watched the game against the Saints. I didn't. It's like he didn't even appear. It's like he disappeared. Like he was even in the picture, and that's because Derek Carr is checking down to the offensive lineman. Like there's a running back in there somewhere. Let me check it down to him. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Just run the ball if you're gonna do that. But a lot of it's coaching. I think I'm not. Derek Carr's playing back.
Look,
but
Devontae is a top 15 pick, though. Like, can you sit a top 15 pick?
No, I think you kind of almost have to play him because you know physics
he gave you 2 points last week.
Physics says that eventually he's going to catch 2 touchdowns.
Right.
It's there. It's going to happen. And they're playing Jacksonville. It could happen.
Let's talk about Jonathan Taylor for a second, though. Look, number one pick overall.
Yeah.
How many points you got out of Jonathan Taylor this year?
Yeah, that's just.
So should fantasy owners look at other options when it comes to some of these guys, or do you just write them out?
I'll even look at someone like, if we're talking about running backs, why not Dameon Pierce for the Texans?
Right. Benjamin.
He's put up good numbers. Yeah, he's put up good numbers. I mean, yeah, again, you kind of have to live by the sword and die by the sword.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Like, am I really gonna sit?
Devontae Adams.
No, remember Jamar Chase? Everyone's like, sit Chase. I go, am I really gonna sit Chase?
Right.
Because he's just gonna come out and ball one game, and I'd be like, why did I sit him? So Jonathan Taylor's and the guys that aren't performing, the Devontae Adams, like I said, you gotta play them. They're guys. You lose, and you know what? You kind of got to accept that, because if they have a good game, you're like, why?
Yeah.
No,
you just gotta ride it out through the storm.
Yeah,
and you gotta hope that they come back. I will tell you that I'm a little worried about Devontae Adams long term for the Raiders. I almost feel like it's kind of that time where he goes to a team, he's one of those great players that then kind of washes out.
I get what you're saying, because also I think there's a mileage factor,
right?
And there is a little bit of the age factor, because this is kind of what Julio Jones is kind of tailed off at 32, 33, and it's just I don't see that.
Let's be honest. Derek Carr is not Aaron Rodgers.
Really? Yeah, it's true.
Really? Are you really gonna throw Derek Carr in the conversation with Aaron Rodgers?
No.
Okay, so Derek Carr is not Aaron Rodgers, so he makes Devontae Adams better. Aaron Rodgers did.
It should. He just doesn't look. He doesn't look nearly as good as last year. And
because he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers, dude.
Yeah. Oh well, no. I was flipping out Carr.
No reason. I'm not saying Carr is bad. I think Carr is a very serviceable quarterback. But Devontae Adams is twice as good with Aaron Rodgers as he is with Derek Carr.
Oh yeah.
So that's I think that's tough for Dave's career. Like, Devontae is going to have a rough career, I think, going forward.
CJ Stroud.
I mean,
I'm gonna get the shirts. I vote for CJ.
Just be honest with you. If you lose to the Jags, you're well on the way to a very good quarterback. So
I'm looking at this in the wrong way here. Tank.
Oh man, I can't dig in any more than it is because I feel bad because I really thought the Raiders were going to have a good year, and the Bears are having a better year than the Raiders.
It's bad. It really is bad.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel unfortunate there. All right, so we're talking about fantasy. Your running backs are coming around outside Jonathan Taylor. Keep playing your running backs. Your flex plays. Your defense, you should be changing out. Like defenses right now, there's no consistent defense. Find a new defense almost every week based on who they're playing. You can find good defenses there. And then what we also found out is quarterback doesn't even matter. Just take any quarterback and you're going to be equal unless it's Mahomes or Josh Allen. Otherwise, it doesn't even matter. Just pick a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
They're all inconsistent after those two. So, well, I appreciate everybody watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Hopefully, Big Smooth will be back next week. He's out sick. We got his picks in. Big Box still has got the lead. Guys lost a game last week, but still making some moves forward. We'll see what happens this week because we got a lot of swing games. If you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Anchor or Spotify, thanks for listening. Final thoughts, Wes?
Well, we're about halfway through the year,
Right.
and I think things are starting to take shape, and surprises. But I think
Are they though? Are they really? Are they taking shape, or are we on to just the craziest season we've ever seen?
I think divisionally we got a pretty good idea. Things are taking shape in the divisions, most of them. Baltimore, Cincinnati, I think that's going to be a bloodbath. Honestly, I think they're going to lose more games, and I think the Bills are going to come out on top. KC, look what's happened to the AFC West at this point. Fell apart.
Not what we thought it was going to be.
In the South, we always knew it was going to be a two-team race. It was going to be it's going to be the Titans and the Colts. But I think the Colts.
Titans are Colts are done.
Which team's going to fall apart because of quarterback play?
The Colts did.
That's obvious, and the NFC East is sort of a surprise, but I think the Giants can come back to earth. I think
NFC sends 3 right now, right?
Yeah. Well, they could, but yeah, I mean the Eagles are the class of the NFC at this point until something happens where you got a 49er team that's good defensively,
right?
And they just continue to develop the new weapon that they have. It's starting to take shape, and so the division races, it's gonna be a sprint for some of these teams. And some of it's just teams are going to fall apart till someone overtakes the other team.
Right.
You're going to see bad records probably in the NFC South. There are going to probably be some bad records going to the playoffs. Because I think it's a race to the bottom in the NFC South. Unless the Saints can really win this week, and that might change the trajectory.
There's an 8 and 9 team going.
Yeah,
the South.
Yeah, I think that's just a given. That's going to happen. And I think the Packers are playing catch up. I still think they make the playoffs, but I think the Vikings take the division. And it's just a matter of what can the Packers do in the playoffs. Can they develop a couple weapons that they kind of found against the Bills? Can they develop that type of chemistry, some chemistry, to make Aaron Rodgers not be upset and talking on podcasts about, weird stuff. I don't even know.
You
Man.
know,
I don't understand this generation.
here's what I think. Final thoughts here is that I think normally at halfway through the season, you'd have a good idea of what's going to happen, right? But even with what's happening right now, I don't think we even know what's going to happen for the next 8 weeks. You could look at the Giants losing 6 in a row.
Yeah, you can. I can see
And
that.
so that's the issue I have is like I don't think we know where we're at right now with the NFL, and I love it. That's my final thought. I love the NFL right now because I think anybody can win. Even as good as people think the Eagles are, they could easily lose, after the second round of the playoffs. They could easily lose after they won the bye. And I think that's the great thing about the NFL right now. I really think it's anybody's game. I mean, I hate to compare it to the NBA, but how do the Blazers go out 5-1? You get a trash ass team and they go 5-1, which you think like the Seahawks, they're 5-3. So I really think the sports right now, especially in the NFL, it's just fun to watch. It's just because you just don't know who's going to win. And the fact that we're still having winning records week to week is crazy to me because you don't even know who's going to win. Like,
Yeah.
just picking, just winning. And if you guys want your winning picks, you got to come here because we're giving them to you better than the so-called experts.
Well,
right.
until Brady enters the booth, then we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
He's gonna beat us there too.
Yeah, let's get Brady on the podcast.
Let's go. Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next week, and we got hopefully we get Big Smooth back on. So thanks for watching. See you guys next week.